Hello, my name's Frostley, and to start off the episode, I have just had a missed call from Jerome. I missed it because I was on the toilet. You know, we all do it. We all have to do our business sometimes. So, can't really blame me. But I missed the call, and he's left a voicemail. So, we're going to be interested to see what he says. Hopefully, he's got over his recent bad mood and been angry at me, and he's a bit happier now. He's willing to move on. But let's see. Looks like he might have just left his phone on, so we don't actually have any sort of voicemail here.
Why did he stay? The bastard didn't answer.
Oh, okay, so we did have a voicemail, and that's pretty shocking. I mean, it's pretty clear he didn't mean for me to hear that, but if we're going to go forward to a working relationship, him calling me things like that is not ideal, to say the least. I'll give him a call back, and we'll see how that goes next episode. But for now, we're just going to move on. I'm not sure what's going on with Jerome. He's a bit unstable at the moment. Clearly not very happy, a bit emotional. But we're just going to move on, and we're going to get into the card. And that's all we can really do. We are in Illinois for another fight card. This one is headlined by Derrick Lewis versus Curtis Blaydes. Co-main event, Corey Anderson versus Volkan. And also other names on the card, Alex Oliveira, Greg Hardy as well. Who's a bit of an infamous name in UFC, of course, due to his background. So it should be a really interesting one. We're going to get right into it now. So, first one on the card is Quinones. I'm going to hopefully that's right. Against Worthy. That was a bit easier. Quinones has not fought in the UFC so far. I know he has. Sometimes it says it here, but sometimes it doesn't. He has lost one fight, and that was against Sage Northcutt, who's a relatively famous prospect. He's now left the UFC, of course. And Worthy has won his first UFC fight. So he's won his first UFC fight. Quinones has lost his first one. So here it goes. Quinones has got his win this time, though. First round win via strikes. Really good fight for him. Next one we got is Mofat against Young. Mofat is 1-2 in UFC. 1-1, lost 2. And Shane Young is 2 wins, 1 loss from New Zealand. Fought Volkanovski, actually, interestingly, in his first fight. So that's his only loss so far in the UFC, which is something to be ashamed of, considering he's now the champion of the division he fights in. Let's see how it goes. And he doesn't get the win this time, though, because Mofat has won, and he's won by submission in the third round. Fight was rated as good. Next we got Martin versus Chasm. Martin is 63 in her career so far, has had 1 fight in the UFC, lost via submission in the first round, and Chasm is 1 win, 2 losses in the UFC. So both of these kind of just starting off their careers, being both young, 26, 24. Let's see how it goes. And the big favourite Chasm has won via leg kick, interestingly. TKO in the third round, just working down those legs, I assume, and managing to get a win for it. Don't see that too often. Next fight we got is Cole Williams versus Shawn Brady. Cole Williams lost his first fight in the UFC. It's the only one he's had. And then Shawn Brady has 1-2, lost 0. So he's a really good start. He's fought Court McGee, relatively big name-ish, and unbeaten so far. He is coming in as a small underdog into this fight though, but he has got the win in the second round. 3 wins in a row at the start of UFC and still unbeaten. And this is a knockout in the second round, so he's done really well there. Fight is rated as good. Next fight we got is Frankie against Davy Grant. I'm not going to try and pronounce his surname, just looks a bit of a weird one. Frankie has won 5 and lost 4, so he's had quite a few fights in the UFC actually. Recent fight was against Marlon Vera, where he lost. And then Davy Grant is from England, and he's had quite a few fights in the UFC as well. He won his last one, and he has actually beaten Marlon Vera a while ago. So let's see how this goes. And Davy Grant has won via split decision. Fight was rated as average. So he looked to push on from there. Split decision, not ideal, I guess. He's only just about scraped through, but he's done it. Last fight, I think, on the prelims is Max Griffin versus Tim Means. Tim Means had a lot of fights in the UFC, been around in the early days, and more recently he's kind of just been picking up for every win he gets a loss, doing okay. he lost his last fight. And Max Griffin has won 3 and lost 6. He lost his last fight as well against Alex Oliveira, who is fighting later in the card. Let's see how this one goes. Tim Means has got the win, so the veteran. I mean, they're both veteran or veterans, but even more experienced. Tim Means has won in the second round via knockout. Fight was rated as great. Good way to kick off or finish off the prelims and get started with the main card. So, first fight on the main card is Greg Hardy versus Mayes. And Greg Hardy, of course, as I said, very controversial character, coming off a loss against Volkov. Done pretty well since he's come in the UFC, considering he doesn't have any real fighting experience before when he started. Of course, he was a football player, American football player before, and he's fighting someone who's just lost their first fight in the UFC, so he should be able to get past him, although he comes in as a slight underdog. But he doesn't manage to get past him, and he loses in the unanimous decision in the third round, or not in the third round, it was the fight was lasted 3 rounds. That was unanimous decision. The fight was rated as decent. I think a lot of people will be happy to see Greg Hardy lose 2 in a row. Probably get one more chance in the UFC, and then I'll just cut him. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of him being in the UFC anyway, and he's not particularly good in this game, so he's not going to do much. He does have a bit more reputation than most people with his amount of fights though. So next fight is Alex Oliveira against Anthony Martin. Anthony Martin has had a pretty good record coming into UFC actually. Lost against Damian Maia, but other than that, his last 6-7 fights he's done really well. A few reasonable names in there beaten, just hovering around top 25 at the moment against Alex Oliveira, who's kind of a similar situation. He's been around for a very long time, and more recently struggled a bit, but he has coming off that win against Max Griffin. Let's see how this one goes. And Anthony Martin came in as an underdog, but he has got the win. 5 decision in rated as good, the fight. I nearly said in the third round again. I'm thinking everything's a stoppage, but it's just not. It's unanimous decision. Okay, next one we got is Felix Herrig against Randa Marcos. Herrig is fighting in our hometown in Illinois, and she has coming off 2 losses against her most recent one was against Michelle Waterson, and she's fighting Marcos, who has also coming off a loss against Amanda Ribas. Let's see how this one goes. Can she kind of get the crowd a bit hyped with a home win? No, she can't, because she's lost by unanimous decision. Fight was rated as decent. Hopefully these next couple of fights can pick up, because this one's where we're getting more interesting. Co-main event, we've got Corey Anderson against Volkan. Corey Anderson kind of never quite got into, when he's fighting those top 5 names, he struggles. But he has more recently done well, apart from that recent loss against Jan Blachowicz. He beat Johnny Walker, which was kind of a bit of an underdog win at the time, because Johnny Walker was very hyped up. But he is a good fighter, and he's only 30 years of age, so is Volkan. Both of these could, after struggling a little bit maybe for a bit when they're against the top competition, maybe if they improve their performance they can push on and eventually get a title shot. Volkan did have a title shot a while ago. But let's see how it goes. Anderson has won, and that is in the first round via submission. Very good result for him. Bulldog choke, which is an interesting choke. Don't see that too often actually, finishes via that. Last one I could think of was Ben Askren against Robbie Lawler, which was a bit of a controversial one actually. But anyway, so his right is good. Not a bad way to get into the main event. And now the main event is Derrick Lewis versus Curtis Blaydes. Derrick Lewis, big name just because of his kind of personality. A lot of people like him, think he's funny, and yeah, I think he is pretty funny as well. So it's not just everyone else. I also do. Struggled a little bit in his last few fights though. Beat Latifi, which he came up from light heavyweight. He probably should be beating him and expected to, and then split decision against Ivanov, and then lost his last couple against Santos and Daniel Cormier. Before that against Volkov, he kind of won in the last minute, and that's what kind of one of the things that really elevated him, made him more popular, because that was on the McGregor card. Curtis Blaydes only ever really lost against Ngannou. He had a no contest there. Can't remember what that was for actually. Does it tell me here? No, I'm not sure. But anyway, he's pretty much always he's always done well. It's just Ngannou's kind of his kind of nemesis at the moment. But if he can beat Derrick Lewis, that would be a big win for him to push again, and he might get another shot at Ngannou. You never know. Let's see how it goes. Blaydes is getting cheers from the crowd because he's from Illinois. Fighters touch gloves. Lewis Blaydes throws a counter left but doesn't connect. Lewis throws 2 quick punches but doesn't hit with either. Both fighters meet in the centre. Blaydes misses a right cross that leaves him open to a counter. Lewis attacks with a massive right hook to the jaw. He is down. Blaydes is already knocked down, and Lewis is starting to pound away. Lewis pounds away with the right hand, and Blaydes is having trouble doing anything about it. With Blaydes taking a beating, the referee has stopped the fight. With 40 seconds into the fight, in typical Derrick Lewis fashion, he has won via knockout. That is a massive win for him to really build momentum again against a big name in Curtis Blaydes. And that will put him back in the picture to not quite into title shot, but getting near there now. And it's just a massive win, really. Curtis Blaydes, big hit for him though. He seems to be those big punches that he's struggling with. The 2 real big punches in Derrick Lewis and Ngannou have both beaten him and knocked him out. But we are going to move on now, and the next fight is the next card is a really big one. We've got it headlined by Daniel Cormier versus Miocic 3. So let's get right into it. Also on the card, we got Robbie Lawler versus Nate Diaz, Thiago Santos versus Glover. So 3 really big fights at the top there. Of course, Nate Diaz and Robbie Lawler both lost their last fight. Robbie Lawler's lost 3 in a row, in fact. But this is kind of a dream fight, a matchup that has never happened, and hopefully will be a really exciting fight, because I imagine it would be in real life. Also got Penner and Matt Brown on the card as well, a couple of reasonably big names. So we're going to get into it. So Pitolo versus Sergi is the first fight in the prelims, and Pitolo has 0 wins in the UFC, 1 loss, and Sergi has 1 win, 1 loss. Let's see how it goes. And Sergi has won, as he was a bit of an underdog, but he's managed to win it by a split decision. Fight was rated as decent. Okay, and now we got Frank Camucho versus Mike Davis. Frank Camucho has 2 wins, 4 losses in the UFC. Recently lost to Dariush. And Mike Davis has 1 win, 1 loss. So let's see how this one goes. Mike Davis has got the win. Fight was rated as great. TKO in the first round. So impressive win there. Next fight we got is Tina. Not even going to try. And then Amanda Bobby Cooper. Is that all her name? Is that a middle name? I don't know. She's got a long name. ABC is her nickname. Interesting. Okay. She has got a losing record though. Anyway. So she's had 2 wins, 3 losses in the UFC. She has fought all of her fights in the UFC. I don't know that much about her. But yeah, she's lost her last couple of fights. And then Tina has lost her first UFC fight. And she is from Finland as well. So see, and ABC has won. Interesting nickname there. And rated as good, the fight, unanimous decision. Okay, next one, we got Julia Avila against Sarah Moas. Julia Avila has 1 win in the UFC so far, 0 losses, whereas Moas has 2 wins and 5 losses. She is coming off a win though. Let's see how this one goes. And Moas has won, and she's won via unanimous decision, fight rated as good. Okay, so now Jack Marshman, the Welshman, against Layman Good. Jack Marshman, as I said, he's Welsh and he's fought in Bama Cage Warriors in the past. Recently had a loss against Edmund Shahbazan. I can never remember how to pronounce his name. This guy's quite a big prospect coming through, and we'll hopefully see a bit more of him later in future episodes. But I need to learn how to pronounce his name because I always just see it and I have no idea. But anyway, let's get back on topic. Yes, Jack Marshman is against Layman Good. Layman Good won his last fight, but lost his last one against Damian Maia, so he's kind of winning then losing, back and forth. 3 wins, 2 losses in the UFC. And Layman has won there, Layman Good, via knockout in the second round against Jack Marshman. And now we're going to be into the headline of the prelims, Joe Lozon, who's big name, had the most fight of the night bonuses in UFC history. Always puts on a really exciting fight. Has been fighting for a long time. Had a win in his last fight. I believe that was in his hometown. And there was some calls for him maybe to retire, possibly just because he can retire on a win, and he's taken a lot of beatings in the past. But he's against a much less experienced fighter in Matt Favola, who has won his last 2 fights. Hopefully they put on a good fight to get the crowd hyped up for the main card. Matt Favola has won, and in the second round TKO against Joe Lozon. The fight was rated as great, so they've got a bit of a hype for the crowd, which is good. And now we are going into the main card. We've got Matt Brown versus Dos Santos. Matt Brown, very experienced as well, just like Joe Lozon, around a similar time that they kind of started coming into UFC. He had a bit of a rough patch, but since then he has picked up the last couple of fights. He beat Thiago Santos and then Ben Saunders, both via finishes. And he's fighting Dos Santos, who is 8-2 in the UFC, so looking pretty decent. He has won his last fight as well, so it will be a good challenge for Matt Brown. Let's see how it goes. And Dos Santos has won unanimous decision, and the fight was rated as good. Okay, next fight we got is Vieira versus Pena. Vieira, 4 wins, 1 loss in the UFC. Most recent one, the fight just her loss just came via knockout in her last fight, and before that she was looking like a really exciting prospect potentially. So she is fighting at what is, other than the fight she just lost, probably her biggest fight in her UFC career, because Pena has her only loss in the UFC so far is against Shevchenko, who's the current champion, and again looks like a really exciting fighter. Hopefully will rebuild her momentum and be able to fight for the title again. She is in the bantamweight division at the moment. Shevchenko was fighting in the bantamweight division at that time, and then she moved down to flyweight at some point later, so she won't have to face Shevchenko. So let's see how it goes. Vieira has won via rear naked choke. She was quite a big favourite coming into it in the second round, so it's a big win for her, getting back off that loss she had to start pushing her way up the rankings. And I'm thinking, what is she now? So she's probably in the top 5 now, around the top 5. So yeah, she's definitely knocking on the door for a title shot soon, after another win maybe. Okay, now we're getting into the real business now. We've got Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira, and Thiago Santos, of course, came off that loss against John Jones. It was a pretty close fight. Some people thought Thiago Santos might have won it. I think John Jones did just edge that one. It was close though. And before that, he was finishing a lot of very reputable opponents like Jan Blachowicz, Jimmy Manoa. So he came onto the scene out of nowhere. And then Glover, who's been around for a long time, another one on the card that's very experienced. He's won his last 3 fights in a row, although against Krylov it was just a split decision. But he could really do with, if he does win this, then he's put himself right back into the top 5. So it'll be a really big win for him. Let's see how it goes. And he has won it. So Glover Teixeira has won via rear naked choke in the second round, right at the end of the second round, right on the buzzer apparently, which hopefully you'd think would get the fight rating up a bit, but good's alright, it's not too bad. But that sounded like a bit of drama at the end. Yeah, but a big win for his career, and potentially another win or 2, and he will be starting to he will get a title shot, but he is 40, so he's not got that much left in him. But now we're into the co-main event, and this one I would be really, really excited to see in real life. Robbie Lawler, one of my favourite fighters. I think he's a lot of people's favourite fighters just because he is such a watchable fighter in terms of excitement. And he has come off 3 losses, as I said before. Kobe Covington beat him in his last fight, and then Ben Askren. That one had a little bit of it was a bit debatable because it was a bulldog choke that he may or may have not tapped out to. Not tapped out to, actually. I think he went to sleep. Some people thought he did. The ref thought he did. And that's why the fight was stopped. And before that, Dos Anjos. And he's fighting against Nate Diaz, who of course coming off that loss against Masvidal, which was a really high profile fight. Let's see how it goes. Hopefully it's a really exciting one. Nate Diaz has won via rear naked choke. Fight was only rated as decent, which is a shame. But it was a third round decisive win for Nate Diaz. That means Robbie Lawler's lost 4 in a row, so he's going to have to really have a think. I won't cut him or anything. He's definitely not going to get cut because of how exciting he is. But I'm going to give him a bit of an easier fight next fight. And then Nate Diaz pushing back on, potentially looking towards that McGregor rematch at some point. I'll have a think, see how it goes. But now we are getting into the main event now, and this is a huge fight. Daniel Cormier, 41 years of age, so going to be only a couple more fights left in him. He did lose his last fight against Miocic, of course. After winning against him in the past, he lost the rematch, and now we've got the rubber match here. Miocic was a dominant heavyweight champion, won the belt in the most times in a row, so it should be really exciting and likely to end in a finish. But let's see how it goes. So, what do they say there? There's a pre-fight stare down which is almost comical as Miocic is so much taller than Cormier. True, okay. I think Cormier is a bit chubbier though. They didn't mention that. Okay, a jab lands from Miocic, but Cormier evades a big right punch. Cormier gets hold of Miocic. Miocic tries to wiggle free, but Cormier controls him well and gets in a few close range punches too. Cormier uses dirty boxing to get in, gets in a few crisp punches on Miocic as they grapple. Miocic smothers Cormier when he tries to use some dirty boxing and gains the upper hand in the grapple as a result. Cormier manages to wrestle his way into a dominant position to the grapple. Cormier hits Miocic with some short strikes to the side of the head while grappling. Miocic tries to wiggle free, but Cormier controls him well and gets in a few close-range punches. Cormier uses dirty boxing and gets a few crisp punches on Miocic as they grapple. Cormier hits Miocic with some more strikes during the grapple. We're halfway through the fight now. Cormier uses more dirty boxing. Cormier hits Miocic with some short strikes, continuing that, and now they've been separated. Cormier comes forward willing to take a few shots, and they're trying to wrestle again. Cormier connects with a nice jab, and then scores a right cross. Cormier steps in willing to take strikes, and a jab hits home from Miocic, and they scores a right cross. Miocic fails to find a home for his jab, but then catches Cormier with a right hook to the body. There's a minute left. Miocic closes in on Cormier, looking to unleash some strikes. Cormier had looked like he was angling to grapple, but couldn't take the initiative. An attempt to land a hook to the body from Miocic fails to land. A jab is wide from Miocic, but then he scores with a right to the body. Cormier is able to grapple Miocic. From the grapple, Cormier tries to pick Miocic up on his shoulder for a slam. He can't get through. Miocic defends it and pulls away from the grapple entirely. The time is up, and that looked like Miocic. No, not Miocic gone to commentator. Seemed like Miocic was a little bit more control. Cormier just trying to grapple the whole time, which is very different to how he fought the last fight. I do remember Miocic getting a few body shots in real life as well, so it's interesting he's landing a few in this fight. Okay, Miocic fails to find a home for his jab, but then scores with a leg kick. Without taking too much damage, Cormier is able to clinch with Miocic. Cormier uses dirty boxing to get some crisp punches in the grapple. Cormier catches Miocic with a knee strike to the body from the grapple. Cormier tries to pick up Miocic for the slam. Miocic blocks it. Miocic is starting to breathe a little heavier. Miocic closes the distance, obviously looking to strike. Cormier had a look like he was angling to grapple, but he couldn't take the initiative. Miocic can't connect with a jab, but then catches Cormier with a low kick to the front leg. Miocic comes in looking to strike. Cormier looks like he was angling for the grapple again. A jab is wide for Miocic, but then he hits a nice right hook to the ribs. Miocic closes in on Cormier, looking to unleash some strikes. Miocic fails to land with a combo that ended with an attempted roundhouse body kick. Interesting. Not sure I've seen Miocic do that much. Maybe I'm just forgetting. But anyway, he's done a roundhouse body kick. Miocic lands a left hand and then hits a nice right hook to the ribs. We are now halfway through the round. Miocic fails to find a home for his jab, but then he scores with a right cross. Without taking too much damage, Cormier is able to clinch Miocic. Cormier catches Miocic with a knee strike to the body from the grapple. Miocic gets caught with a couple of nice short punches as Cormier uses his dirty boxing to inflict some punishment. Cormier hits Miocic with some short strikes to the side of the head when they grapple. Cormier continues to use the dirty boxing, still using it. So there's lots of dirty boxing from Cormier, seems to control in the grapple at the moment. Cormier hits Miocic with some short strikes, continuing those. And now Cormier is muscling up Miocic against the cage. Miocic is stuck against the cage, and Miocic is very tired. Miocic is controlled up against the cage. Miocic is trapped against the cage now, and Cormier was punishing him. And now we're in to the third round. Cormier has won that round. He seemed like he was in control on the grapple most of the time. That does seem to be his game plan, interestingly. Not going for the risky striking, maybe because of what happened in the last fight. He's avoiding getting knocked out effectively, so he's just going to go in for the grapple because he feels confident there. Miocic closes in on Cormier, looking to unleash some strikes. A jab is wide from Miocic, but then he hits Cormier with a straight right. Miocic comes in looking to the strike. Miocic throws a quick punch, but doesn't hit. Miocic tries to go to the body with a sharp hook, but it's off target. Cormier is able to grab Miocic. Cormier uses some dirty boxing as he grapples Miocic. Cormier hits Miocic with some short strikes to the side of the body while grappling. Then we continue the dirty boxing. Continuing the dirty boxing a bit more. Cormier hits Miocic with some short strikes. And Miocic is really looking tired, which you don't normally see his gas tank going this early. So that shows that Cormier's wrestling is clearly tiring him out, which is obviously very good news for DC. From the grapple, Cormier tries to pick Miocic up for the shoulder to slam, and Miocic has no answers, possibly because he's so tired. And now he's got him in a very good position. Cormier attempts an Americana. Miocic just blocked it. Cormier fires a few punches. And now he's attempting an armbar now, and he's defended it well again, Miocic. Cormier throws a few right hands, but is mainly just trying to catch his breath. The referees stood them up, and that was Cormier again. This fight doesn't seem like the most interesting, unfortunately, but it does look like Cormier is in control. Miocic throws a hook to the body, but Cormier steps back to avoid it. Cormier gets hold of Miocic. Cormier is trying to muscle Miocic up against the cage. Miocic ends up backed against the cage. Miocic is trapped against the cage, and Cormier hits him with a short left uppercut. Cormier hits Miocic, who is pressed up against the cage, with a nice short uppercut. Cormier pins Miocic against the cage and hits a couple of nice right hands to the side of the head. Cormier pins Miocic against the cage and uses dirty boxing to inflict some damage. Miocic is controlled up against the cage and takes a few right hands and fires some dirty boxing. With the fight having been stuck against the cage for a lengthy period of time, the referee restarts him back into the centre. Cormier is starting to slow down a touch. Miocic can't connect with a jab, but then hits Cormier with a body kick. Miocic looks exhausted. Cormier gets hold of Miocic without taking too much damage. Miocic gets caught with a couple of nice short punches as Cormier is using dirty boxing. Cormier is aiming to get Miocic into the Muay Thai clinch, and Miocic couldn't fight it off. Now Cormier has hit an elbow to the face of Miocic. Miocic partially blocks a knee strike enough to allow him to wrestle free of the clinch. Cormier had looked like he was angling the grapple, but he couldn't take the initiative. Miocic throws a quick punch, but doesn't hit. We're into the final minute of the round now, and a jab is wide from Miocic, but then he catches Cormier with a right hook. Blood is visible on Cormier, and the strike looks like it's opened a cut up under his eye. Miocic misses all the strikes in a combo that ended with a low head lead kick attempt. Cormier seizes the chance and grabs Miocic into the clinch, and we're into the last round now. Cormier has won that round as well, so Miocic needs to finish it. Cormier has got a cut, which is a potential issue for him, but he is in control. Miocic connects with a jab, but finds nothing but air with the right, and then Cormier gets hold of Miocic without taking too much damage. Miocic gets caught with a couple of nice short punches as Cormier uses dirty boxing, and then he continues to use some dirty boxing. Miocic gets caught with a couple more shots, and then a few more shots from dirty boxing again. Clearly a real plan for DC here. Gets caught again. Still got the dirty boxing going on. With no progress, they've been separated, and a few deep breaths show that Cormier is struggling a bit as well. Cormier comes in apparently willing to take some strikes to grapple. Miocic fails to find home for a jab, but then hits a nice straight right. Cormier is bleeding under the eye again, so the wound is reopened. Cormier is trying to force Miocic into a clinch. Miocic finds a way out quickly. Using the Muay Thai clinch, Cormier blasts Miocic with a brutal elbow. Miocic falls to the ground out cold. Incredible. So from the clinch, elbow has knocked Miocic out, and that is a way to make a statement after what was looking like a bit of a drab, boring fight. He has got the finish in the end to add a bit of excitement, to add a bit of kind of emphasis on that win, to really push on and reclaim that heavyweight belt and really make it his. I'm going to have a good think about what to do with DC next. There's obviously option with John Jones, but I'm not sure whether I want to do that or not. I have to have a think, because I maybe want to give John Jones fighting Adesanya. Maybe Ngannou against Daniel Cormier is probably the best bet. I have tried to get Brock Lesnar to come back just because I think that would be like the perfect fight for Daniel Cormier to go out on, just because he'd get all. I kind of like the idea of him getting a big payout, because I think he deserves it. But yeah, we can't make that fight happen. So but it's probably going to be Ngannou, and I think Ngannou is DC is a very bad matchup for Ngannou, because DC's a wrestler and Ngannou struggles with wrestling. But we'll see how it goes. It's probably going to be that fight. It will be a big fight regardless. But yeah, so that is it. We had a decent card, not brilliant. I was hoping the Nate Diaz Robbie Lawler fight would be a bit more exciting, but it went pretty well, and the main event ended up with quite a decisive win for Cormier, which is ideal. You want one of them winning decisively. So we're not going to have any more left in this video, and we are going to finish off. And next episode we have is headlined, one of the final card is headlined by Brian Ortega versus Korean Zombie. So should be a really exciting fight. Hopefully it doesn't end up like Nate Diaz and Robbie Lawler with a decent, and ends up with something a bit better than that. But I will see you then. Subscribe, like and comment. See you later.